Chapter 17. The Arrivals. Panicked seized the mother of the monarch after the interrupted communication with her son. She did not tell Lord Koture that she attempted to contact her son through a crystal, as aided by the High Priestess. But she approached the regent to express her deep concern that neither her son nor Diodi were treated justly, and now they as well as Lady Olaria were missing. I fear greatly for their safety as well as for the safety of my unborn grandchild, she told Koture. With an unctuous demeanor, Koture replied, Great Royal Lady Oto-Kimwa, rest assured that General Usalata and I will find our blessed monarch and the Lady Olaria. We have some leads as to where they are. She shot back a look of utter disbelief. I'm quite sure, Lord Regent, but what is this I've heard about you confining the High Priestess? The High Priestess? That is bordering on sacrilege against Mother Oto-Ma. I strongly recommend you release her right now lest you and the realm anger the goddess daughters, at a time of already brewing unrest. Koture paused, raised an eyebrow to study Oto-Kimwa's face, and then responded. I deeply respect your opinion, great lady. I may take your advice soon, but for now I must closely observe the actions of the High Priestess, for she is adding to unrest by not informing us where the monarch and his party have been taken to. Koture had to remember the lie of the monarch being kidnapped, as opposed to the truth of Oto-Mani's flight. Now, I beg your pardon, great lady, but I have many other important matters to attend to. He nodded his head, swiveled and sped down a palace hallway with a coterie of aides following hurriedly in his wake. Oto-Kimwa frowned. She did not trust Koture and Usalata. She never had. But she sensed she should not press either matter right now with such powerful and dishonorable men. She had to find another way to rescue Oto-Mani and Kala Sonora. But Kala Sonora needed no rescue. Though Colonel Commander Lagon posted guards both inside and outside of her High Priestess chambers, so to absolutely ensure she made no suspicious moves, these soldiers were not enough to contain the power of the old woman. At an unsuspecting moment, with one hand she cast a spell, or seemed to cast a spell, creating a portal on a chamber wall while simultaneously hypnotizing tall sentries with the other hand. She then stepped to the portal, knocked them unconscious with a wizardly swipe of 2 fingers, and as their bodies hit the ground, she stepped into a curtain of light created by the shimmering yellow ephemera of the portal. She strode quickly down a dark candlelit tunnel, walking more rapidly than what should be possible for a woman of her advanced years. At the end of the tunnel stood a cadre of her Sisters of Oto-Ma, garbed in red-orange hooded robes. With their hands outstretched, they encircled a large Oto-Mani whose interior swirled with a cosmic crystalline miasma of orange, yellow, and white starlight. Kala Sonora stepped up to the Oto-Mani in a place clearly reserved for her to complete the circle. Though the sisters' hoods were up, it was possible to see that long, intricate braids in the style of the Aduma hung down the sides of their heads. Kala Sonora instructed them,
Increase the frequency, sisters. We must not lose their coordinates.
Yes, High Priestess. The women stoically but dutifully responded. They concentrated, further outstretched their hands over the orb, and this had the effect of increasing its static hum. At each turn, the static hum of the Oto-Mani amplified into an ominous electric shrill rumble. It then evoked a spectral fog that clouded the room. Out of the reaches of the fog emerged transparent spirit images of animals and strange creatures. The Oto-Mani cleared and dissolved into a hyper-animated image of Diodi and Oto-Mani running at top speed. Diodi's braids were so long and unnaturally fluid they appeared to flow out of the globe in 3-dimensional relief. As the women telepathically chanted, the image of the 2 men morphed into a single being whose melded bodies were swaddled and then cocooned by Diodi's now long rope-thick braids. A wiry ribbon of orange-gold glowing symbols and glyphs danced around the globe.
There they are,
yelled Kala Sonora over the faint din. She added,
We must tell the Great One that we found them.
Back in Makana, shortly down the pathway, Fumo upbraided his men for not shackling Oto-Mani and Diodi because they were a flight risk. The 2 travelers got the sense that these men were rusty at fighting and arresting others, possibly because this did not happen very often in the supposed paradise of Makana. Certainly, this paradise contained lots of weapons. At least Oto-Mani and Diodi got answers to 2 of the many questions swirling above their aching heads. First, they were arrested precisely because they were alien intruders. And second, they would not have to walk the entire way to Makana City, which was said to be very far from where they were. The party rounded a corner, and before them stood what looked like a large iron-black beetle on wheels that belched plumes of white smoke. Oto-Mani and Diodi flinched because they were perplexed as to what their eyes were seeing. It took a moment for their minds to adjust and understand that this huge creature was human-made. Fumo explained that they were being loaded into an autobus. It would quickly and comfortably traverse the great distances they had to travel to get to Makana City. They were seated in the very back row of the narrow 2 seats per row cabin of the vehicle. Several guards were posted in the middle, while Fumo and Demdem served as the pilot and co-pilot. The interior of the bus was bare but more comfortable than the ironed black metal exterior would suggest. Once the prisoners were chained in, the craft, whose engines hummed with a mechanical precision, took off at a fast clip. With the outside whizzing by and the carriage rocking back and forth, Oto-Mani and Diodi at first were a little disoriented, but their eyes adjusted after several minutes. With one of the windows open, some of the exhaust fumes of the bus wafted through the windows. Oto-Mani was fascinated by the contraption they were traveling in, while Diodi directed nothing but peeved squints at their captors. Because Oto-Mani and Diodi could not talk to each other without fear of disclosing something to their captors, they remained silent for now. 1 hour later, the impressive skyline of Makana City came into view. It was comprised of squat stone towers and tall granite spires. This skyline stood in relief against the magnificent vista of the Sacred Zone mountain range that hid the city from Rakana, Mount Foloki. A human hive of activity, most especially on this holy weekend. Makana City was an architectural marvel more remarkable than Rakana City. Oto-Mani reluctantly conceded this. He also had to concede that this city, the center of the so-called concentrium, was bursting with far more technological wonders than could be found anywhere in the fire realm. In fact, Rakana was technologically backwards in comparison to Makana. The two stared out the windows of their autobus and could see the old blended with the new in this great city. But the new demonstrated the genius of Makana. Much later, Oto-Mani and Diodi would have these wonders explained to them. The carriages in Makana City ran without horses. They were self-propelled, in that they had mechanical or coal or wood-fire engines that pushed them rapidly down clean concrete streets. Every tall public building had round objects called clocks installed in their facades that kept time, or bells that tolled mechanically to announce the time. Lanterns, especially public street lanterns, were lit by a heat source other than fire that illuminated their areas. In the markets, there was a range of mechanical or other devices for sale, such as watches, compasses, eyeglasses, telescopes, music boxes, and typesetters, just to name a few. What was just as fascinating was that the style of dress, the accents, and the hairstyles of the people of Makana were so different than that of Rakana. They wore colorful, multi-patterned robes and headdresses in so many ranges of color, be they reds, oranges, greens, golds, yellows, and creams. The Makani seemed healthier and happier in this city than was true of its great counterpart. After more than an hour of wide-eyed silence in the autobus, Oto-Mani and Diodi risked a quiet private chat to share their observations using ancient Rakanese. They hoped their conversation was muted by the hum of the engine and street sounds. OD. The Makani are so different than what I could have imagined. I agree, Muzi, but I guess it's hard to have an opinion about an entire nation which you never knew existed. True. Do you think all in Rakana are unaware of this society? Is it possible that it is a great state secret known by only a few in our homeland? Perhaps Muzi. Clearly the priestess and her sisterhood know of it, thus the map. But who else? Do you think Lord Koture or the brother priesthood keep Makana as a state secret unknown even to you? Why in the world keep you in ignorance? It doesn't make sense. Demdem, with his superior elephant ears, snorted,
"Keep quiet, you two."
And then in irritation made a small elephant trumpet sound with its trunk. The autobus crawled along steep, narrowed streets that appeared to be an older section of the city. To their right, a great circular plaza came into view, where hordes of people mingled about. At the center of the plaza there was a raised concentric dais. Oto-Mani's temples tingled as he looked upon the plaza, and it was not just because of the headache from his fight with the giant. Apparently, it was a place of mystical significance. Shortly thereafter, the autobus squealed to a stop, and Oto-Mani and Diodi were shoved off the vehicle, shackles clinking as they walked. They were escorted over to an imposing stone building with bars on its windows, the city jail complex. Demdem took the lead in walking them into the building at gunpoint. The two overheard from the conversation of the guards that the odd weapons were called guns, rifles, or pistols. Demdem walked the two through a series of doors, locking each behind them as they passed through, until he came to a final chamber, and then he removed their shackles. "This is home sweet home for you two criminals, at least for a little while." They were walked into a jail cell and the jail door was locked. Fumo and Demdem stood right outside the cell. Fumo informed them, "We'll bring you your food and water." Don't eat it all at once. It's all you'll get for a few days. Fumo was about to turn and walk away when Oto-Mani asked, "So, you say the formal charges against us is the crime of alien intrusion and it is a capital offense?" "Yes, but I thought Makana was a peaceful society that had deep-seated prohibitions against violence or death." Fumo responded, though irritated. "Even a utopia cannot avoid violence. We do not believe in violence of any kind against each other. But sometimes in our history, we very unfortunately have had to resort to violence to protect our society from destruction by others, by exiles." Diodi mumbled sarcastically. "That would explain all the weapons." "What?" Fumo leaned toward the bars. Oto-Mani deflected. "May I ask another question?" Demdem snorted a hearty chuckle.
An hour of a quiet ride, and now you're just full of questions. Aren't you?
"I am. So you are a member of the Circle of Memory. I am the leader of that circle, and Brother Demdem is my lieutenant. And the purpose of the Circle of Memory is to serve as the defense force of Makana?" Oto-Mani asked. "Defense and peace officers," Fumo replied. "I see. So in part you preserve memories, the history of your society, by generally guarding it against intrusion, guarding it against knowledge of the outside world? I see no contradiction in that. What's your point?" "Oh, I'm just curious." Fumo huffed. He and Demdem turned and walked down the hallway behind them. Oto-Mani and Diodi were given water and huge bowls of porridge, all of which was clearly meant to last for more than one meal. It was a little dry, but generally it was tasty. Diodi frowned at his lover's smacking, but before he could scold Oto-Mani, he looked at his spoon and made a discovery. "Wait, I think I found a big bug." A voice said, "Consider that your protein for the day." Outside the cell stood Brother Tulu next to Demdem, and he was hugging a long rifle in his arms. Partly startled, Oto-Mani said, "Why, if it isn't the benevolent brother Father Tulu? We're glad you've come to visit us, since I figure you're the reason why we are here." "No, Dictator, you are the reason why you are here. These memory officers and I are simply upholding the law." "And what law says that you lie and pretend as though you are a loving priest of a loving society and then summarily accuse visitors of a crime punishable by death?" "Dictator, prophecy found in our great book, The Portal, suggests that you are no visitor. You are not here on any mission of peace. All of my life I've known of the prophecy of your invasion. You've come to conquer my society, and we will, resist you to our last breath." "Conquer? How do two men and a pregnant woman conquer a society that clearly is full of technological wizardry? And I assume you call me dictator because you know who I am, who we are." "Yes, we have our ways of knowing since we are technologically and morally superior to you. What methods of conquest you and your backwards and immoral society choose is purely up to you." "That still doesn't make sense." Tulu simply shrugged. Diodi spoke. "You call your great book the portal to the predecessors. We call ours the protocols of the ancestors. We have Aduma people like me, and you are the Ajuma. And when we speak, we perfectly understand each other, dialects notwithstanding, in that our languages are vastly similar. Such commonalities are not coincidences. You of Rakana have aped the culture and civilization of Mother Makana, but you are incapable of understanding our moral core." "Easily enough explained. Brother Demdem, open the cell." With a moment's hesitation, Demdem unlocked the cell door, handed Tulu a book, and Tulu walked in and leaned on the far wall. In an officious tone while cradling both the book and the gun, Tulu said to Oto-Mani and Diodi, "I, Tulu, as the leader of the Circle of Love and presider of the Great Council, the Circle of Life, give you official notice of your trial by tribunal by the 3 circles. You shall answer for your capital crime of alien intrusion among others. May the divine circles protect you until then. Blessed be the concentrium. Goodbye." Tulu walked out, and Demdem quickly slammed and locked the cell door behind him. Oto-Mani shouted at Tulu's back, "You liar! We confused you with a man of peace." Without turning, Tulu stopped and replied over his shoulder, "I am a man of peace. What I do to prevent the greatest of all wars," Diodi shouted. "What have you done to Olaria? If you've harmed her in any way, we will not cooperate with your kangaroo court." Still with his back to them, Tulu said placidly and icily, "A futile threat. Of course you will cooperate, because your precious lovely lady is still safely in our care. We are taking good care of her. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if she is in labor as we speak." The two were dumbfounded, and feelings of panic inched up their spines. Still, Diodi persisted. So, I see you and Lolo entrapped us. This was all a ruse to get us in an isolated area to have us arrested without notice. No, unfortunately, my daughter's son Lolo has a mind of their own. One day they will have to pay dearly for the consequences of their silly actions, even if they are my child. Goodbye! And the outermost cell door slammed shut with a clank.
Now, good people, please like, comment, and subscribe to catch the next thrilling episode of Red Circles of Fire.